Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So, as you can tell by the title, there is a very large storm system on its way. Now, we've been dealing with strong storm systems, ones that, we had a derecho, destructive derecho that came across the Midwest. We've had flooding rains, but this one is definitely a different beast. It could actually have a snowy side to it, not just some isolated snow. It could be almost a whole state of Colorado under some gun for some snow. And it's very large. It's going to be dumping a lot of precipitation across areas that have been pretty dry, so I guess that's a good news. But definitely the biggest storm, I would say, for the past 2 to 3 months that has occurred. And as we approach fall, these storms will start getting bigger and larger. If you are new to this channel, check out the channel, check out this video, obviously, and see if this, this channel is worthy of your subscription. If you think it is, then please consider subscribing. And if you're a returning viewer and you like these videos, consider liking the video. Let's get into this. So we start off by looking at the GFS, Global Forecasting System. And I just wanted to quickly show you the temperatures. I won't be going in depth on the pattern this video because there's just so much to cover about this particular one storm that I could upload actually a second video today talking about the pattern, since I've gotten quite a few comments saying that they like this 2-video schedule. It's obviously not too sustainable for me because it takes a lot more effort, but whenever I can, I will be doing 2 videos. Obviously, if there's even, enough to talk about. Some weeks are very boring and have no weather. This time it's pretty active. Looking at the GFS, the 2-meter temperature anomaly is off the charts. I mean, some of these readings are pretty much bottoming out at around negative, 20 degrees below average in Celsius. I mean, look at that right there. Those are just insane anomalies. And we could be looking at record-breaking cold, 100%. I mean, September 8th, Tuesday, let's look at the thermodynamics, and let's go to 2-meter temperature shaded. You can see widespread frost and, freezes across the mountains, and even, the lower elevations of the mountains. Obviously, where it's the valleys and anywhere lower, it's going to be still marginally warm, or marginally kind of around that freezing point. But look at this. If this were to occur, much of Nebraska and western Kansas are in the 40s and 30s, and this is the daytime high. Let's see what happens once we get into the nighttime. Notice the nighttime hours, we see just a lot of frosts, freezes. Some of these temperatures right here, we're definitely getting into the single digits. This is 100% possibly history in the making, new records to be broken. And because of this temperature, this insane dip in the jet stream, and these just off the charts anomalies, I can't emphasize that enough, because this isn't just below average. This is the equivalent to a polar vortex in September. Because of that, we see a cold front. Here we have the cold air. You can see the 540 line. It is approaching to the south. Along that, we have a storm system kind of slides out ahead of it. That's going to deliver quite a bit of rain across southern Canada and into portions of Michigan, UP, maybe as far south as Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. If you live across southern Canada, this definitely will be a bit of a concern. I wouldn't say a large concern. The reason for that being is it just doesn't look too awfully developed, and really the second storm kind of overshadows this first one. Though definitely some rain, some showers will be on its way across southern Canada. The bigger risk is probably across Illinois and Wisconsin. Sometimes along these cold fronts we get a bit more severe weather than we'd like. But notice, this storm pushes off. We still see these cold temperatures. If I were to look at the anomalies, notice they're already encroaching, but it's, the contrasts of these, look at that. I mean, we have 20 degrees above average, while we have 20 degrees below average on the other side. So these contrasting temperatures are really not going to help the situation. Notice that we see a large area of precipitation moving down through the Rockies and Montana into Yellowstone. And notice, we see just widespread snow occurring across a good portion of Wyoming. And obviously, where there are warmer areas in Wyoming, there's higher areas and lower elevations. The higher elevations will be seeing snow with this. And you can see some, I'll show you the amounts. They're going to be impressive. Notice we see a very strong potential for severe weather across Illinois, Michigan. And notice how it kind of stays for a while across the same location. That could lead to quite a bit of flooding for sure. Even if it's been dry, it's probably even worse of a concern now, since dry land doesn't absorb water if it falls quick. It's kind of like like a sponge, a dry, bone-dry sponge. If you just put it quickly in water, it won't absorb much. A moist sponge will. And obviously, oversaturated soils are also bad. But dry soils, which we have, I mean, this year's August here in Illinois, we got 0.8 of an inch, which is just ridiculously low. Notice, we could move this into Colorado. You could be seeing some snow across Nebraska, possibly western Nebraska. That could be just, that is just really, I'm lost for words about that. Obviously, they sometimes do see a freak storm maybe in October, or late October, early September. I don't remember in my years of tracking whether this occurring. I'm sure it has happened before, right? But again, in the last 10 years, I would say this hasn't occurred. Notice snow across much of Colorado. Guess what? Denver would be seeing snow across these locations. September 8th, Denver could be seeing some snow. And the thing is, I've always looked at Denver and said to myself, I never want to live there, because literally a couple days after this storm goes away, we'll be back into the 80s. And this will kill off all your crops, all your things, and then you'll probably still have a good month or two of growing season left before any other snow comes, because I don't think this will be a recurring pattern of this insane cold. I think this storm will come, this cold air, and such anomalies we probably won't see till maybe later on in the winter. But I want to point out, such anomalies in the winter time would be, again, just ridiculously cold, and we actually haven't seen such anomalies in a while. Notice this moves it into Colorado, and we see just a giant area of precipitation forming across the Midwest. Obviously not snow. I mean, gosh darn it, it's September 9th at this time occurrence. This would just be ridiculously early to see snow across the Midwest, let alone, or it's ridiculously early to see snow across the mountains, let alone the Midwest. But you could see lots of rain, lots of precipitation, severe weather possibly across the South. Definitely a very, very large storm system. Notice that it moves across much of the Midwest to Great Lakes, continuously pumping out moisture, so just lots of precipitation. It's on its way. And notice it finally pulls away. Notice this storm starts it starts beginning its impacts in the next, I would say 80 hours, and continues for the next almost 200 hours. Very, very large, widespread, long-lasting storm system. Let's look at the total accumulated precipitations. I want to take a look at this. Snowfall first. Notice Minnesota or Montana, northern Wyoming, the amounts will be more localized for the higher elevations, but where it does fall, we could be getting into the double digits. But then as we get into Wyoming and Colorado, you can see it gets more widespread. We get the higher areas, elevations getting up to a half a foot, if not more. Lower elevations, probably 3 to 4 inches of snow. For exact details, go to the National Weather Service. Again, this is not set in stone, but the models have been very consistent on this. And yes, this storm system is still relatively far, but I've almost never seen a model been so consistent on it. The GFS has been showing this for at least almost a week and a half. Same with the European and the Canadian. Just remarkable evidence to not take this into consideration. Total accumulated precipitation, you can see across portions of the Midwest, just ridiculous amounts. We see Illinois, Michigan getting into the 6-7 inch range, and again, the last we've gotten, I think, 6 inches in the last 4 months. So if you could get 6 inches in the next 2 weeks, that would be definitely a bit of a change up. And notice that as we push this forward into really the long range, we still see quite a bit of more precipitation coming along, so definitely an active pattern continues. Let's take a look at the Canadian model. Let's take a look at the European. That's the better model. I'll show you the Canadian if I have time. European model, again, we have that storm system that was occurring across the Midwest and southern Canada yesterday and today. It's pulling away slowly but surely, and we start seeing the first signs of this system really late this weekend. We start seeing this first wave, probably some thunderstorms and showers across Michigan. So you can see it has agreement with the GFS. If you recall, the GFS had this similar storm, maybe a bit further to the south, but you can see some storms, possibly severe, developing across Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois. Notice we see this large band of precipitation. European is right on track with the European is right on track with the GFS. Lots of snow across Wyoming. Notice we have again a large area of precipitation beginning to develop across the Midwest. We see Colorado seeing lots of snow. The European definitely puts out more snow for Colorado, takes it a bit further to the south, but then again just blows it off across the Midwest. Maybe not to the similar extent as the GFS, but definitely still affects the Northeast and the Midwest. So let's take a quicker, closer look at this, run this through. You could see this European takes it further to the south, as I mentioned, into Texas, New Mexico. Definitely good news. They have been lacking of precipitation. They could definitely get some relief. I have to zoom out because I'm trying to fit the whole map in here while being able to scroll this bar here. Notice we see a pretty good area of precipitation across the northeast, and that definitely does produce precipitation, but the European definitely doesn't have as much of a connect between this area of precip and the one further in the mountains. The GFS, if you recall, showed a bigger area of precipitation. Now let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation. So this includes all snowfall, in terms of rain, and notice that there are pretty still high amounts. We have across the Wisconsin, Iowa area, and then across Colorado, New Mexico, we could actually be seeing pretty large amounts of rain. So that's definitely good news. And some of this may come as snow, but it'll most likely melt very quickly, as still not the winter season. It's not even astronomically, it's not even fall. So technically, this is a snowstorm that has occurred. That's occurring in the summertime. That just sounds so weird. Let's take a look at the total accumulated snowfall. This is where things get wild with the European. European was the main advocate of the storm up until yesterday when the GFS joined it. Notice, look at this. Across Montana, definitely, up to 10, 11 inches of snow. We keep increasing these amounts as you get into the higher elevations, possibly up to 1.5 feet across certain areas in Wyoming. Lower elevations, I would say 1 to 3 inches. Then notice across Colorado, the European just blows off. We see possibly up to 20 inches. And then right here we have possibly showing up to 3 feet of snow, which is, or 1.5 feet of snow, which is just plain ridiculous. Sorry, no, that would be 3 feet of snow. And I was thinking that foot was 24 inches for some reason. But, 3 feet of snow across the extreme high elevations is possible. But you could see, Denver would be under the gun for almost 8 inches of snow. So this would definitely be a record-breaking system. And lots of, rain, snow, and, again, the cold temperatures, which are going to allow for this. So just ridiculous. But let's take a look at the temperatures. I want to just glance at them, what they're going to do after the storm occurs. Not just looking at the precip, let's check back at hour 6. So right now we are in a bit of a cool off across the Midwest. This continues pushing into the south and southeast. This is really not going to be awfully cold air. Notice the west is going to be warm, and the areas that don't get affected by this cold are going to be very hot. But you can see that this is just ridiculous heat. Holy cow. Such anomalies, if these were to occur during the winter, say like January, late January when it's the coldest, we would be looking at records, possibly negative 20, 30, 40 degrees in Fahrenheit. Not an over-exaggeration, by the way. Let's take this forward. You can see that in the past several days, the models have trended this cool-off further to the west, which really just lined it up perfectly with the precipitation and allowed it to snow across the Colorado and New Mexico and Wyoming, Montana area. But notice this cool air definitely continues to shift to the east. It's not as strong, but that's probably for the good. This is going to feel more comfortable rather than cold, which it's, across Nebraska, Kansas, and South Dakota. In the mountains, it's just going to feel downright cold. And then after that, you can see the pattern is a kind of a flip-flop, so we'll have to see about that. Climate Prediction Center, 8 to 14 day, you can still see they mention cool across the central part of the country, and generally drier across the west and central United States, with just the east being wetter. And if you were to look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, they have a similar temperature graph. They're just darker colors. They have higher confidence. And in terms of precipitation, they have a bit of an increased wetness, if you will, across the east, dry across the west. That seems to be the trend as of now. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.